Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, UK. Good morning, the rest of the world. As you can see, Chris Shearer has metamorphosized into Karen Shearer. Good morning, Karen, and
He's
thank you for being
beautified
my
himself.
co-host. You sent Chris shopping again, didn't you? I
So
don't blame you.
unfortunately, he's having to work today. So
Ah, we'll let
fortunately,
him off.
I'm here to do this. So which I love. So brilliant.
I know you do. I think it's the second time you've hosted with me,
It
which is
is.
wonderful. So, good morning to the UK. Good morning to the rest of the world. Good morning, audience. Now, today we have, I don't think we were able to get it all into the show, so much to get through. Today we have, I call him amazing, Eric Mitchell. Got my auto cue here, darlings. Here we go. Eric, who was a single dad with no beliefs in the UFO subject at all. This all changed after being physically affected by a UFO encounter. Eric has been tracing the truth ever since, at every cost. Eric has been very quiet about his findings of his experience until recently. So soon we'll have Eric out of the naughty room, and the topics and the journey he's going to share with all of us today. You need to listen in. It's very, very important. I've known Eric. I've been in contact with Eric since around about, I don't know, 2016. I have an insight to his experience, and being an experiencer myself, the similarities. So this is very personal to me today. However, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kate Green and Nina and Rosemary. We're also streaming live, I've been told by Karen, simultaneously. You try and say that word early in the morning on YouTube. Please share the links and the posts. And if you're unable to catch it now live, it will be on our Facebook page and it will be on YouTube. So, Karen, I just would like to just jump in before and just tell the audience a quick intro to next week. Next week, we have the lovely Geeta Rose, who is a creative, intuitive, and she spent the first part of her life performing musical theatre. Then an experience happened to her. She is now a channel, and she channels extraterrestrial human hybrids, and she offers a wide variety of perspectives and tools to help people to connect to more to their inner child. And it's relevant to after having, when we hear Eric today, because there's a lot more to having an experience with another dimensional being. Eric is on his journey, and his journey has brought in so much informative information, has outed many things, and I don't know how he does it all. I don't know how he even breathes. He's about 5 a.m. in somewhere in America. And on that note, Karen, would you please bring Eric out of the naughty room? Boom.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is it? It's definitely morning, ladies. How
Yeah,
are you?
it's very early for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where
I
are
usually get
you,
off work.
Eric? Where are you in the
Uh,
world?
I am in Hot Springs, Arkansas, otherwise known
Arkansas.
as yeah. It's a beautiful place surrounded with hot springs and crystals and geysers and mountains and trees. Beautiful. Finally, home. Finally, been on the
Finally
road for a
home.
long time. Yeah.
You have. Well, Eric, we've had a pre-discussion, and basically, if you could start at the beginning, obviously the audience is aware, but you go on. Prior to 2013, in your reality, there was no such thing as ufology, UFO. Um, please, could you share the beginning when it all started?
Well, Gloria, I was raised to not believe in the woo-woo type of things, psychic abilities, UFOs, all those things. I think a lot of us are raised that way, and I, I just never looked into the subject. I shied away from anybody that talked about it, and July 2013, I woke up outside my apartment and I'm staring at this orange, glowing, 40-foot diameter sphere. I had no idea how I got outside or what the hell that thing was. And that was really the beginning of a whole lot, a whole lot. This object came back frequently, physically affected me, knocked me to the ground. It did physical attributes. I now know that it's physical attributes to my brain.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Eric, can I just ask?
every,
We're losing Eric. Sorry, are you able to turn the volume up again, or come closer to the mic? Try
I'll do my
again.
best. How about this?
I
Is
know
that
what it
better?
is. Whenever I'm around electrics, energy gets affected, and I'm sure it's the same with you.
It is the same, yes.
Okay, maybe you could shout, Eric. How about that? Shout at Gloria.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I'm
Yes.
sure everyone in my neighborhood at 5 o'clock in the morning is going to love to hear my amazing voice.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, just so the audience can hear you. Do go on.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh. Well, eventually everybody in my neighborhood had seen this up close. They all started to move away. People in my neighborhood, in my hometown, heard about these, things happening. So they would show up in 20, 30 groups of people, pickup trucks, cars. They would show up to watch this object come down. It
Was your town
became
very, very big, Eric, or was it like a small knit community?
It's pretty small knit, 30,000 people. But a lot of people that go to church with you, you see at the grocery stores, everybody kind of recognizes everybody. So word got out really fast, and the church did not like me going to church anymore. People shied away
So,
from me. They weren't.
everybody knew that it was you yourself that this was mainly being focused around.
Yes, yes, I would walk away from the crowd, and the object would slowly hover over me. So it was very apparent to everyone. I was a single father at the time, so helping the kids with the homework and, people knocking on the door, tapping on the windows. They wanted me to come outside so they can see this object appear. And the common consensus at the time was that I was calling the devil down from the sky. I live in the Bible Belt in America.
Yeah,
And,
the Bible Belt. Yeah, yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really got pushed away from everyday activities with other people. They would just look at me funny and walk away. They were scared, almost as if I had some sort of cooties that they didn't want. So it was really terrible. I was a single parent, no family. I was struggling to get by, and now the whole town was turning against me. And I wanted to believe that I was insane. I wanted to believe that it was a delusion, or that somehow I became sick and needed medication. So I played out this whole way of getting everything better so I could fit back into that little box that I've been in my entire life.
Yeah, that's
But
really
unfortunately,
interesting, actually, that the option of mental health
yes,
and it being something personal to you was more acceptable to yourself and to the community, rather than it being anything extraterrestrial, or and that's really interesting.
yeah, I wanted that more than anything. As a matter of fact, the most delusional I've ever been in my life was having pictures and videos and witnesses and an entire case with MUFON being put together, and I wanted to push all of that off the table and just call myself crazy, because I once this happens to you, there's no turning back. There's no way of turning back.
No.
And
it reminds me, I think it was around about 1986, 85, I can't recall. And the same as there was ufology or aliens were not in my reality. As a medium, seeing dead people was normal, and I thought it was all that. And then I remember I totally understand that shift. It was around about 1986 or somewhere. I was online and I saw the Whitley Strieber book, Communion, and I saw the picture. I collapsed in fear, everything. I mean, still to this day, if I hear Whitley Strieber, it's not him. I still can't tolerate it shifted. It just shifted because then I realized it was true what I pushed back for all that time. So I can imagine you when MUFON's doing this, putting it together, as much as you have a conscious awareness, this is real. This is not going away. It must have been. Was it at that point? Was it at that point you were sort of like suicidal, or prior to that point?
No, I was not suicidal until all this began. You know, my worldview was completely destroyed almost overnight. I didn't think what I was witnessing was a UFO. I had no idea what it was. To me, a UFO was a silver disc in a 1950s American film on a fishing string, hovering about. I didn't think this was an orange glowing sphere, and it rippled like water. The light from it was so bright, but it didn't illuminate the neighborhood like it should. Its movement was ominous, you know, and we're not talking about a light in the sky. We're talking about this thing floating over my driveway, you know. So, you know, misidentification is completely out the window. I think, you know, a CE, what is it? CE1 is 600 feet away, so we can throw that out the window immediately. You know, I thought maybe it was an optical illusion. But when I was physically knocked down and affected by it, I knew that something was definitely physical and real about this.
Was that the time when you were working on your car?
Yes, I was working on my car. It had been there the night before. It did circle me very slowly. It would flash on very slow, flash off very slowly, and it would move about 2 miles an hour, and it did a horseshoe type shape very slowly around me until it ended up just above my one-story apartment, just above my head. It flashed twice very quickly and then shot away like a bullet. So it was at that point I was waiting for some kind of air displacement impact or a sonic boom. A sonic boom standing there would have killed me. It would have killed me. Or at least the air displacement would have knocked me down, and none of which has happened.
None happened.
How do you talk about that? How do you talk about that to the general public? They go, well, that must not be true. It goes against the confines of science, you know. And then you meet people deep in the science world going, hey, I want to talk to you about this. You know, people contact you. You know, you learn. So I've learned, Gloria, we don't have enough time on any radio show to talk about what I've learned, what I've
No, we don't.
No. How many pairs of shoes that I've traded in for another pair. It's been a sci-fi film because I've put my entire life.
Obviously I have followed you for years. I'm not a stalker, Eric, so don't worry. I have followed you for years. I mean, after that experience, you became medically ill. Am I correct? You become ill after that experience. Was that the time where you were dehydrating? You had burns? No. Was it that one?
I did have burns. I did have loss of vision in my eyes. It turns out I was nearsighted and farsighted at the same time. Burns on my shoulder and face. I had felt like I was rocking back and forth under the object as I was being pushed down. It was like a very, very strong vibration and frequency. And come to, you know, later on, I was talking to a scientist. He said, you know, Eric, the blood, you know, the iron in your blood is negatively charged. So if you had a high-powered electromagnetic object above you, you would feel like you were a magnet being rocked back and forth. He said, you know, if you had that type of you know, electromagnetic field strong enough, it would give you nearsighted and farsighted, you know, vision from pulling and pushing in your eyes. He said the positively charged blood is going to seep to your skin and seem like a rash. And I mean, this man explained all these things. You know, I was afraid to talk about it because there was no explanation for me.
Well,
But you know,
in with an experience, it's always the case. The general public, I'm sorry to say, even the ufologists, they have no idea what this is about. However, you'll find there are some amazing scientists already understanding the experiences field, the science behind what's happening, which is now just coming out, which we will talk about in a few weeks in your next appearance with us on the documentary. But do go on, do go on.
yeah. Well, yeah, if somebody comes at me with an ology, they better have a very strong piece of paper showing and proving so. I don't want a self-proclaimed scientist looking at me.
No.
No way.
Sorry,
want
can
to
I
hear?
ask you to hold the mic a bit closer? Sorry.
I do
Shout at me,
apologize.
Eric.
This is the most expensive thing I could talk to you with right now. But no, you don't want any ologist to remove your gallbladder unless
No.
you see some high credentials. And self-proclaimed doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I've contacted major universities here in America and have spoke with them about these things. There has been some private projects going on in neurology, looking at the physical effects of the quintessential experiencer's brain, how it operates, and why we're
Yeah.
able to do things that seem normal to us. I mean, they literally seem normal to us, but we're extremely different. And if we learn about
Yeah.
this neurology, pay attention to how different we are, we can exercise these
Mhm.
things and make them useful for ourselves. And it's been amazing looking at these things.
I've got to ask on that. I found through my experiences round about the between it was 2013, 2019, I had an amazing understanding, like an IQ of sacred geometry, quantum physics, astrophysics, numerology, and it was like I just had this information. Did you also go through a period of having this IQ in areas of academia that you'd never gone and studied before?
I went from 110 IQ to 150. I refused testing
Yeah,
after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I figured that was, I told my investigator, I said, that's extremely redundant at this point. It doesn't matter what my IQ is. He wanted to do further testing,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
said, after 8 years, I'm done. Don't test my brain. Um, Now, do you want to know how it works, Gloria? How
Of
this
course I
works?
want
How
to
these
know,
downloads?
darling. Yes.
Well, this is the good part. This is the really good part. I don't think it's going to be in, high school anytime soon, textbook. But what these prominent universities are finding, and people like us, is that they caudate putamen and basal ganglia in the right hemisphere of our brain are
Mhm.
fusing, and it looks malignant, meaning it's spread out like a spider web and connecting together and somehow non-local, reaching out. These are tiny
Mhm.
microtubules that are firing like a double barrel shotgun
Mhm.
somewhere out there, and it's retrieving information. Now,
Yes. Yes.
you and I live our ordinary everyday life, and we're faced with a particular decision. And a quintessential experiencer like you and I will, look at a decision and intuitively answer that decision immediately. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to search my feelings. Okay, that's the decision I'm going to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
The average person, the non-experiencer, is going to take a decision, weigh the pros and cons, and make a decision based off of that type of
Yeah.
thing. The quintessential experiencer does not do that. We
No.
fire our
No.
microtubules, and we get in touch with our intuitive process. That
Mm.
intuitive process is in the right brain. It has no words. It does not
No.
speak. The
No.
left brain has letters and numbers and deciphering and all those things. We leave that filthy thing alone. We just don't mess
Yeah.
with
No.
that monkey mind is jumping in the back of our head. We got to get coffee. We got to do laundry. We got to do this. We got to do that. We're quiet. We're peaceful, and we're
Yeah.
intuitive. So when we're faced with a decision, we get into that intuitive psychic receptors
Yeah.
and we get our answers. Now, where is that thought leading to? and where is it coming back? These are how downloads happen. These craft have an electromagnetic field around them that are directly related to synopsis, which means consciousness. That
Mhm.
blue stuff that fires in between your neurons
Yeah.
um, is the same substance as the stuff that's surrounding these craft,
Mm.
and they connect in a way that so it's directly connected to us at a distance, up close. It doesn't matter. ET phone home, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
once we figure out this type of science, once we figure out this type of science, our entire way of being is going to be different. Can you imagine changing the channel with
And
your own thoughts,
oh my
turning
God,
on your own
paradigm
car?
shift. The reality,
Yeah.
again. Mm. No, I
Well,
agree.
every
We
hundred
do.
years, we think we're at the pinnacle of human existence,
Yeah.
and every 100 years, we're absolutely wrong. Yeah, yeah, come on, 100 years ago, you and I would be burned at the stake.
Yes. Oh, hell yeah.
And now people like us can, learn to be celebrated for having a particular type of mind that has
Mm.
abilities to do things outside of what people can
Well,
possibly understand. So,
actually, feeding into that, and I've said to Karen and Chris and others, because the groups I run, and I've got other experiences coming on in following weeks on the show. I have this thing that it's time for experiences to come up and to
yes,
publicly share. And it's like, I don't know why, but firstly, thank you for describing my neurons and what's going on, because it happens all the time. It just happens. I come out with
yeah,
stuff, and you know, but it's time for the experiences. But you've just actually expanded my consciousness there, because you're talking about the science, and now the universities are getting interested, which means we've been experiencing. I mean, there's tens of thousands of us globally going through this.
yeah,
The experiences is now coming into the realms of science. That in itself is, oh, once the earth was flat. Oh, no, it's not. It's now round. So you can see the paradigm shift there of our reality
yes.
is so going to change. Can I ask you on that as well? I'm sorry, because you've opened up some amazing thoughts. Back in the day, most of us experienced what we call the men in black. We've experienced that. It doesn't seem to be so profound now with experiences. We're all out on the net, everyone's talking, scientists are investigating your brain. Why do you think at that point back in the day when we went through, and I really would like to touch on the gentleman that stalked you, and then we will bring in Debbie as well. Why do you think there's been that shift now? Back in the day, we had the phone tapping, we had the helicopters, we had all of the people following us when what's happened? What's the shift? What's gone? What's gone?
Well, Gloria, if I were to be a detective and I wanted to, catch the drug dealer, the major drug dealer, the guy that makes this stuff, I would
Mm,
leave all the people on the streets alone, and I
mm,
would follow their activity until I finally found who it was that was manufacturing this substance, and I would want to
yeah.
catch him. That way, I would have it all figured out. Now, we have a
Mm,
thing in America called the Patriot Act, which was pretty much abolished, and it's a terrible thing.
mm,
Now they can, that what the Pentagon can do is they can pull up a domestic intelligence report. That means they can legally spy on you no matter what, and they don't have to answer for it. My
mm,
particular person was Lieutenant Colonel Dallas C. Wood of the United States Pentagon. My neighbor Debbie was a porter. She cleaned out the hotel room right down
mhm,
the street from me. And she walked into that room and found pictures of me and my children all over the bed of everything that
mhm,
we were doing at all times, with a ledger on the nightstand that talked about everything that I did. Now, I took his name, I brought it to my investigator, and we found out that he worked in the Department of Foreign Relations and Foreign Technologies in the United States Pentagon. So I decided to take a look at everything that he had done, his records, and I uncovered OSAP, ATIP, These are covert, unacknowledged special access programs in the Pentagon, which are constitutionally illegal. I
Yes.
also
Yeah.
discovered that these are compartmentalized, meaning all of these departments don't know about the other departments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that led me to the head, the fifth floor of the Pentagon, called the Phenomenology Desk. It's called, by the people that work there, the quote unquote weird desk. This
Yeah.
weird desk has about 200 people in the CIA that are highly active in the UFO cover up, disinformation, um, guiding the sociological, psychological fear, the sphere of ufology and everyone involved, branching
Hmm.
out to YouTube channels and leaking out to the public a little bit of true information, surrounded by
Yeah.
an awful lot of disinformation to keep everyone lost. And they
Mm.
absolutely do a wonderful job because when you have an initial experience and you run to ufology or the professionals, I'll say very loosely, the
Loosely.
cover up starts there.
Loosely.
Yes. Yeah, you hit a brick wall. As soon as you run to
Yeah.
ufology and say, this
Yeah.
just happened in my yard, my life just
Yeah.
changed. What do I do? And they're like, well, I don't know. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
So,
Unless
one
I
of the
can make
greatest
some money out
discoveries
of you,
of,
you'll write a book. Yeah. Mm.
yes, Gloria, absolutely. Absolutely. And I haven't put out a sign, but my integrity's been obviously for sale for a long time. I haven't found the
Mm.
right price to sell it for, and I'm not going to. I'm going to do the right thing. I've had deals where I could have literally retired
Yeah.
from. I'm not doing it unless it's the
Absolutely.
truth. I'm not doing it. Money's a
So,
piece of paper. Integrity is priceless.
Eric, I've got to ask. So, you're being tracked by the UFOs wherever you moved. I know that feeling. And the beings. And now you're being tracked and stalked and photographed, single man, 4 kids, by your government. How dark
Yes,
does that part get in your life? That part, how dark does it go?
there are only 26 letters in the English alphabet, so I really couldn't really articulate what that's like.
Yeah.
To love, I grew up loving my country. I grew up putting my hand over my heart and praising my flag and my country's history. To know that my Pentagon, my DoD, the people that are supposed to be here protecting me, has failed phenomenally,
Mm.
broke my heart. It literally broke my heart. And
Mm.
to see these covert people breaking the law
Yeah.
over greed, over power, over these silly, narcissistic things
Mm.
is an eye opener beyond belief. It is terrifying to know the truth.
Yeah.
Folks can go bowling, they can go roller skating, they can have a 23% credit card and walk around with a fanny pack and their socks pulled up too high and just enjoy the hell out of life. But that's not a
Yeah.
luxury I get to live with anymore. I was pulled
No.
away from that. I enjoyed it. And now I find it terribly ridiculous. There's no substance there whatsoever.
No.
And to know that this is what runs the world, that
I
your
mean,
own
we've got
country can
to.
stalk you.
No, I'd like to at this point, Eric, bring in Debbie, who I met back in the day online with yourselves with the conversation. Could you introduce Debbie to the audience and who Debbie is and what happened?
Oh, my neighbor Debbie
Mm.
at the time. Yeah, yeah, she was kept to herself. She worked a lot. She's a single lady, and she just trying to get by in life. I mean, she was very upset. She thought, um, that since I had two teenage daughters, that this man was stalking us
Yeah,
for that purpose and
yeah.
that reason.
That
And
must have been horrific.
she was just a yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
my first thought was not the UFO
No.
subject. My first thought also was that I have two teenage daughters, and here's this
Yeah.
man following us. I mean, at the grocery store, fishing,
Mm.
going to the park,
Yeah.
everywhere we went, this man was taking pictures, and he was writing down everything that we did. So naturally, that was my first thought. But fortunately, my investigator looked up his file at the Pentagon, which he couldn't
Yeah,
find
yeah.
much. And you're not gonna find much paperwork on these people in illegal constitutional
No, no, no.
projects. So
But
that's
that
potentially
must
very
have
upsetting.
changed Debbie's reality. It must have shifted hers to find this. I mean, the same.
Yeah, yeah. Once she saw a UFO up close in the neighborhood, she moved. She left. I mean, just like everybody
She
else.
left.
Yeah, yeah. The
Don't
helicopters.
live near Eric, because if you live near Eric, there's UFOs. It was that it.
Yeah, there's been 6 years of that. Even
Yes.
living
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, there was a man that was trying to work for MUFON. He was gonna, pass the field test and everything like that, become an investigator. He ended up climbing a mountain across the street from me in Las Vegas and filming the objects coming down, hovering over my home, and shooting straight back up. And finally, he got the nerve to knock on my front door and say, "Hey, I don't want to sound crazy, but have you ever heard of UFOs?" And I said,
Oh
"Oh,
God.
would you like some tea? Come on inside." And he did. He gave me pictures of these
Yeah.
objects, hovering over my home.
Mm.
Except being in Las Vegas, it wasn't Black Hawk helicopters that were hovering over my home and taking pictures and spotlighting me. It was the what's the name of those? They're very narrow type helicopters. I can think of them in a bit. It's a bit early for me,
I
but
have no
it's
idea. Karen, do you have any idea what these? No,
No.
we forget that.
yeah,
Someone
yeah,
knows. Okay.
yeah. Well, it's amazing how many places you can move and see different types of military vehicles and activity. They'll take what they have
Trust
and
me,
check it out.
wherever you move, I remember moving to one, and they were like so fast that would come over one house, and they were black, and they were so fast, and it was always at the time there'd been a contact of some description. Always
Yes.
at that time, things would happen, and it's fa-dum, as if like what you're chasing, sort of thing. And I
Hmm.
do, and the helicopters, a lot of the helicopters, and you in the end you just go, okay, you get used to it. It's okay. It's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. In
Wherever you move.
in Vegas, in Vegas it was Apache helicopters. That's what it was called, Apache
Yeah, yeah,
helicopters.
Apache, yeah,
But
yeah,
we even had an object. I had someone I was dating at the time, which is a, a rarity for me. But I was taking her kids trick or treating, and we had an object hover
yeah.
overhead. So we actually had a Apache helicopter fly over us and watch us go from door to door getting candy. On a
Yeah.
holiday like that,
Yeah.
which is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
Mm.
if I'm taking a child door to door to get candy, you really don't need to stick around and spotlight us
Well,
like that. But
it's got to be. It's all about intimidation. I'm saying back in the day, it was about intimidation, intimidation, and then if we jump now, we're in 2021, and it seems the intimidation. Well, so far, I mean, I had nothing with my recent experience. Or there was a few helicopters. Apart from that, it shifted. It's now shifted. Now, obviously, we've got to bring up in America since 2017, for some unknown reason, the American government, the Pentagon, has said, yes, these craft are real, and that's really all they're giving. However, the experiences know, and ufologists know. Do you think, why do you think, I've got to ask the question, the UK people, I'm sorry, we don't get as much information as you do in America. Okay, we don't. Our media service, our governments, it locks it down. When the Pentagon released the most recent photograph, the videos of your pilots locking onto them and saying, and the Pentagon saying, they're not from here, they're not from here. We had a little bit on the BBC, a bit here, and then all of a sudden it was taken away, and we had India every single day on the news. COVID. It was shut down immediately. Now, coming back, why do you think at this time this is now they're drip feeding a bit more? Are they playing a game? Are we going to have the, the UFO invasion scenario? What do you think's coming up this year next? Why are they
Gosh,
doing it?
Gloria. I met along with Travis Walton, Audrey
Mm,
Hewins, other people like ourselves were invited to meet with a senior intelligence officer at Jack Wiener's house. Some
hmm
people, if you do your homework, Jack Wiener was involved with the 1972 abduction called the Allagash case. I
Yes.
met with those gentlemen. The moment I met those gentlemen, I knew exactly they were telling the truth for over 40 years, and their lives
hmm
were destroyed by it. They didn't make any money. The
No.
publicity destroyed their family life.
Mm,
But we met with this man. Let's call him Bob. And Bob told me, he said, this was 2014. He told me that the agenda going on here is to slowly weather this into the public, very slowly, and then announce that we plan to go to war. That people
yeah.
like us need to start talking. We, the people of the world, need to start talking because the war machine is well after this. And I said,
Yeah.
no. How could our DODs be so ignorant? There's no way. He said, Eric, you have to understand the war machine. He said, if your brain is built like a hammer, everything has to look like a nail.
Yeah.
And my heart sunk. I went, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
This is what we respect so much. And shout out to the intelligence community involved in this type of thing. If you're a narcissistic sociopath, your intelligence does not impress me. What impresses me is your intolerable ignorance. You do
Yeah.
not engage in something you can't control. And I don't care if you're a child, toddler, whoever you are, you can't do this. You cannot do this to the people. You can't do this to history.
No.
It's intolerably ignorant, and everyone will pay the price for it in the future.
Well, this is where Karen, I will come to you. Just something I need to get. This is why I come to what's been happening recently, not just with myself, with others. Experiences need to come up, and there was this urgency that experiences need to speak out because if these other civilizations wish to harm us in any way, hey ho, they would have done it way back when we dropped the bomb. Yeah. Not only did they
Oh
shut
yeah,
down all our nuclear plants after to stop us blowing the planet up, their technology is so advanced, and they don't use machine guns and laser beams, and they would have done it. However, I think the counteraction that's coming with the collective consciousness, and obviously science is coming in, is that the experiences are coming out to I don't know. It could change tomorrow. And it's like a balance. So we can either delay a false flag or stop a false flag because they will appear. They're going to appear anyway. These craft are
yes.
coming in more and more daily now to counteract the war machine. I mean, hence why we have space wars and they're all up there, Elon Musk, and there is already going on, and the general public don't know what's going on at the moment.
No,
That's
no, no. The general public, excuse my frustration, but the general public are highly addicted to being a born bred consumer. They can care less what's
yeah,
going on in the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
Even dragging their own children through a shopping mall. They don't care what's going on with the world. They want to teach their
yeah,
child to be a very practical, born bred consumer. And
yeah,
this kind of practicality is the heightened of ignorance. We are catalyst into smearing around money to this place and that, and then we eventually die. There's more purpose in
yeah,
the world. Experiencers understand that. There's more
yeah,
meaning in the world. There's more love to
yeah,
be had in the world. There's more
yeah,
love to be shared in the world. And, the more we're desensitized emotionally, the more we become useful to something narcissistic, evil, and something that
Yeah,
we
the more
couldn't imagine
compliant
that would
we
run this
become, don't we?
beautiful place.
Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, UK
I'm just
is.
saying you become more compliant because
Mm,
you are being, you get taught a certain way, and like you say, that goes through the generations, doesn't it? And the more you believe what you are told in that sense, the more compliant you will be when you're told
Yes.
something else. And I think it's interesting that you were
Yeah.
saying about how there has been this shift of, when you look back into the 1950s, there was literally these men in black, and it was also like these covert things and all that. But now you can see that the switch is because of social media, because people are a lot more awake, if you like, or with the consciousness, that they've had to change tack on that, and start, like you said, drip feeding the little truths to just prick people's ears up, but then also at the same time drip feeding what they want you to believe instead of, or so that you won't question things because you think they've given you the answer.
Yeah, these quote unquote men in black, they're 200 people that work with the Pentagon, at the Pentagon, with what's called a USAP, Unacknowledged Special Access Program. That means the President of the United States has no access to the information.
No.
At the phenomenology desk.
Yeah.
These things are funded by drugs. They're funded by illegal activity. They're funded by black money. They're funded by blood. And to do these things, and I can send you guys a full dossier on all 200 people that have been involved with this for a long time. It's called the Aviary Group. They all have bird names: blue jay, hawk, owl, to keep their anonymity. Wow, I said that without a full cup of coffee. I'm so proud of myself.
I mean, that's amazing. You're doing good, Eric.
Now, I am. I've got one eye open, and it's neither one that's attached to my face.
That's okay. I'll slap you a few times, Eric, if you fall asleep. Keep going.
It is. Gloria, I spend all my time working with experiencers, people that are suicidal, going through this worldview change. And that's the number one thing you have to look at with experiencers, is that we wake up so entirely fast to see the facade that's put in our face 24/7. And we're detached from this false reality. And we realize that we're a ghost driving a meat suit, made of stardust, floating on a little blue planet on the corner of the Milky Way.
I mean, and also what I've found, starting up the experiencer groups and talking to others, whether it's the non-local consciousness or whatever it is, I don't need to go down that road. That we'll do that when we come back and talk about the science in your documentary. Is I talk to other human beings. Mostly mediums, psychics, because that's the group I'm in, because I'm a medium. I think I am, and a psychic. I'm something anyway. And once they start talking, they come out of the closet for the first time, Eric. And they've never told anybody. Now, what I've noticed from the get-go is they come out and say, yes, I've seen this. And they're looking like that. But once that's out, the next time they come in, memory comes in. They have more.
Yes.
And it's just like, I don't know what's going on with the synapses of the brain. It's like someone's turning people online. You're online. And I'm finding many of them are experiences, not to maybe a degree or a certain degree as yourself or me or Travis or anybody like that. But they're going, you know what? Boom. They're starting, and they're having to deal with, oh my God, am I another Gloria? And that is a lot. That's like shift. It's what do you do with that? And I think you're correct, and Karen's correct on the mental health aspect of this. It's all too good for the Pentagon to go around and say, yes, they are real. Yes, they are here, and whatever they need to say. But it's not addressing the mental health of the individual conscious being that just has the most massive reality shift. Because basically, Eric,
look at the oath. Look at the oath here in America to defend the people and the Constitution of the United States, and look at the fact that they're aware of it and it's not happening. Look at the fact that they're only showing UFO pilot videos over the oceans because they don't dare show it over my home.
No,
You know, look at what they're doing now. Now, if I wanted complete honesty, I would definitely say that this is not honest. What they are doing is slowly doing this without a mission, that they have been
they have an
highly
agenda.
neglectful. They've been,
They have an
yeah,
agenda.
they have been, they've been greedy with the information,
Yeah.
and at innocent lives at stake does not matter. These are the people that represent my tax dollars, and things have to change. You know, Gloria, it's funny, we were going to talk about the documentary I'm working on right now. It's literally called "It's Time."
It's called
I
what?
thought you would
Sorry?
appreciate that.
It's
It's
time.
time.
Oh, you know I'd
Yeah,
appreciate that because that was way back in the day. It kept coming. It's time. It's time. I go, when? I do appreciate that. You know, that's very close to my heart. I'm looking at now. I don't know. So obviously, even if you're an experiencer or not, um, it still poses the question. But I've got to throw this out. I have this knowing with others as well, the urgency that the physical appearance of these craft and these beings is going to accelerate exponentially to counteract the agenda of a false flag. Like we had the terrorist attack, we had this attack, you know, that, and the alien attack. And it's being done to counteract that. So for example, I think a couple of days ago, someone filmed somewhere in the world. I didn't quite catch it, so busy. There was like 7 to 8 or even 12 orbs, UFOs, going into every country, appearing, not harming, not attacking, not doing anything, and then zipping straight back out. Okay. Now, as the agenda's coming out and you're waiting, is it like the end of June in your country? This so-called "listen to us, we know everything." I really believe myself, whatever comes out of their mouth is going to be invalid, because by
yes.
then, do you agree with that, Eric, or am I off somewhere?
I agree with it. I think it's going to shock a few senior intelligence officials. You know, the fact that I have their own personal emails at home, and I'm going to send them nice letters, letting them know we, the people of the United States, will not tolerate this ignorance. You know, you can put this facade in front of people that are willing to put themselves in, you know, the chopping block with their
Mm,
Stockholm syndrome. But as people that are awake, are willing to fight for our own lives and lives of
yeah,
people that are willing to throw stakes and you know, pitchforks at us, because we know the truth. We know what's going on. We know it intuitively. We don't have to know it with words in our minds. We know it with our
no,
hearts.
no,
And
you just know, yeah,
absolutely no. And that's what these beings are doing. These, whoever they are, whatever planet they're from, whatever heavenly body they're from, I can say this beyond equivocation. They are waking us the hell up, and we better pay
they are.
attention to it, because
So
there's a
can I
reason
just
for it.
ask then? Do you feel that? I mean, obviously, you would have already asked the question of, well, why me? Why, why is this happening to me? Have you come to that conclusion now as to why it was happening to you and the purpose of that? And if so, what has been the purpose of your experience? Do you feel?
The closest I can come, and right now I'm speculating. I do say when I'm speculating, because a lot of times I don't know a lot of things. There's so many things that I need to learn. I am not a know-it-all at all.
No,
But I'll tell you
no,
this: I spend 24/7 working with people I've never met before, talking them down from suicide. I am cleaning up after my own government because they refuse to do what they are doing. And in this knowledge, I have learned over 3,000 people that I've worked with so far, 200 of which are ready to kill themselves at any given time.
mm,
It is a lot of stress on me. I don't provide for myself enough because I spend all my time doing what I need to do. I can have a
mm,
wonderful car, a giant house. I can have all these
no,
things that I'm programmed to go after in life.
no,
But one thing that I can say with a lot of confidence is viability. I'm a viable subject for contact. You know, my
yeah,
brain is wired that way. It's wired from birth. This runs in the family lines, most
yeah,
likely
yeah,
royal bloodlines.
mm,
And that's what I'm finding. AB negative. 80%, give or take, maybe 86%. The rest of them could be watered down with positive blood as well and have that in their lineage. But I'm finding that I came from Scottish royal blood, English royal blood, French royal blood. Don't tell everybody, I'm not proud of that. So it 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 just seems to me, in my own personal research, not reading any books on ufology, not watching any television shows, but spending all my time on the telephone speaking with people in 127 different countries with all those different languages, that you find my great grandfather had to deal with this, or my mother's mother had to deal with this. It's always the case. And when they're not aware of it, they go to ask their family, and there it is. There are people way up in intelligence that wholeheartedly believe in the sky gods, the Anunnaki, I know the whole Anunnaki story was for them to come here and get gold, but I feel very ridiculous. I really do. I mean, there are asteroids that are made of gold, floating around out there. I don't know why you're going to come here and pull out a shovel and really, really dig for it. But, Zeus, Thor, all these mythological things that we pass down over time, we very well may be progenitors of that race. And fortunately enough,
I've got to say, I concur. I mean, as I said, as an experiencer, I've studied everything you could think to study, because you don't know what you're looking for. You're just learning. And I remember studying mythology and Zeus and the Greek gods, and something inside was saying to me way back in the day as a youngster, they're real. That's not a myth. And I remember, but then I was told, no, it's not. And I'm on the same agreement, but this is really, it's a good question you've opened up there, Karen, and the answer Eric's given, because not only is humanity going to have a paradigm shift about, hello, we're not alone, there are other beings, could be 20,000 years more advanced than us. I just would like to tell you about your evolution and your DNA and where that comes from. They're going to have another one coming through. I, for some reason, am totally aware, and I don't seem to have an issue with it. I'm still Gloria. I'm still crazy, and but that is going to be another paradigm shift when they are told about their DNA and the genetics, the manipulation, and this is going to be how we felt, Eric, when we first was confronted with the UFO reality. I mean, you've got to look what could happen and the mental health aspects of this as well.
Yes, I deal with it on a daily basis. There are people that are being woken up every day. Look, Gloria, I don't have a website. I don't advertise.
I don't. I don't. No, I don't.
I get calls from people all over the world. The reason they find me is because they are desperately looking, and they're desperately trying to get a grasp on what's really going on, and they need help. They need help. And a lot of people would think, Gloria, well, there's probably a lot of schizophrenics, a lot of this, a lot of that. 2%, I'd say 2%. And even out of that 2%, how could you tell, whether a schizophrenic is telling the truth or they're having a delusion? Well, do this long enough phonetically, and I guarantee you'll be able to tell. I do know people with schizophrenia, a very small amount.
I mean,
but
there is a lot in there is, I think, the genetics. I don't know, maybe humanity will be okay because it's been fed into the consciousness over the past 70 years. I think they're going to be okay with the spacecrafts. They're going to be okay with other civilizations. They're okay with the Greys. I think possibly what maybe needs to be addressed now and brought into the forum is when they find out about the DNA line. The DNA line of Homo sapiens sapien. I have just started to speak about this, but it's like you're waiting for this. There are no words at the moment, but I'm starting to feel it's now time that this needs to come on board, because these other beings we are not disconnected from. We are so not disconnected.
No, I don't believe so.
No, by DNA.
Yeah, in my last,
You
yeah,
go on.
my last regression, these not so pretty looking people were saying that they were family to me. You know, that could
Yeah,
be open to
yeah,
interpretation. But you
yes.
know, the subconscious mind doesn't know how to lie. The
No,
subconscious has no clue how to
no,
lie.
no,
So
no.
it retrieves memories in such a way. You know, I was thinking about archaeology and all the hidden things that, you know, we dig up archaeology that doesn't fit the everyday
Yeah.
status quo. So we just bury that under the Smithsonian, and I thought that was so terrible here in America. And then I look at the UK
Yes,
and meet
yeah,
with some archaeologists there. They bury everything
yeah.
over there. You guys are
In
not
the
allowed
UK,
to.
they bury
I mean,
everything. Everything's buried. It's
oh my
worse.
God.
We
Yeah,
are
yeah.
the one of the biggest and the strongest lockdown countries, the UK. We are an island. We are just a small
It's
island run by a few. We are so locked down in everything. I mean,
yeah,
in a
yeah.
next week, Eric, I have, or no, 2 weeks time, I have a lady coming on, Marie Wheatley, who's going to come in and tell the UK people about the elongated skulls that are in our Stonehenge, are buried there, and the history, who they are. We all went to school in England and we heard about Stonehenge and the Love and Lighters, you know, winter solstice. UK is going to have to start to wake up. We are so locked down, hidden. They don't want it
Yeah.
out, more so than your country, I think. That's
We
something
have
to look at.
Yeah, we have the elongated skull people in
Yeah,
Peru, in Mexico.
yeah.
Well, the DNA testing that showed up, I don't know if you've looked into this, but they
Mhm.
actually came from Europe. They came from
Yes,
Europe.
yes, yes.
They're not Indian people. They're
No,
not
no.
indigenous. They
Yes,
came from your neck of the woods. They came from your
yes,
pond, you know, your side of the pond. And they
yeah,
had red hair, they had blonde hair, they had blue eyes, they
yes.
had green eyes.
Fine. Yes,
They
yes.
had RH negative, the first known RH negative people
Mhm.
on the planet. Which, what
Mhm.
you know, folks at home, if you don't know what RH negative is, it's negative of the Reese monkey gene, which
Yeah.
proves that 15% of the population of the world did not derive from any damn type of monkey you could ever find. Um, I'm so even in America, these kids are learning, you know, that we derive from monkeys. But you know, if you look at genetics and the
Well,
random nucleotide polymorphisms that happen
yeah.
in these
I
things,
mean, no, I hear
60,
you. I hear you.
60
I mean,
65
what
genetic changes.
I'll tell you what has come out. I mean, what's being discussed in this country, and we are discussing quite vocally on the internet, is because I have a son that's been diagnosed with ADHD. The children that all come through with the ADHD, the autism, and ASD, and everything you could think of, they label, label, label. These children have come in and they are so, I'm not human. I don't like the system. I don't like the school. I don't, they are so highly intelligent. I mean, I remember my son at 10 years old in his science blowing the science teacher's mind. All of these children are coming in and they look like they're antisocial, but they're not. The next wave that have come in now, these children are fully aware. We don't need to go to school and learn about Darwin and Hitler and Stalin and all the boring stuff that still goes on. I mean, come on, Eric, I think I'm slightly older than you, only slightly though, darling. I mean, the children today are learning the same stuff that I learnt when I went to school.
Yes,
And
yeah.
they've taken out creativity, the arts, everything has been thrown out. And you
You're gonna
just,
put you're gonna put me on a tangent right now. You realize this, right? I mean, you know,
I'm going to what, love?
you're gonna put me on a tangent here. You know, the when I was a child, I wrote with my left hand. You know, I'd write my name.
I did, and I was stopped.
I
I
was stopped
did.
as well.
I
I
was
was stopped as well.
stopped.
Your left hand is controlled by your right brain. All right brain function is literally stopped in school, churches. It is of the devil. Isn't it funny that your
Yes,
right
yeah,
brain has this quote
yeah.
unquote Stanford University calls this part of the mind the antenna, the ability to
Yeah.
reach out,
Yeah.
psychic,
Yeah.
empathic, and the ability to interact with these UAPs or UFOs. So
Yeah.
we are conditioned 100% to be left brained, to regurgitate the information that we're taught, to believe it blindly, and not to have the type of mind that's free thinking.
Yeah.
Our entire society is built around religion is completely against it. You do not go into a religious institution and write anything down with your left hand. It is of
No.
the devil. And
No.
now we understand that the right brain is being conditioned away. These new children that are
Absolutely.
born with these
Yeah.
incredible gifts and they are awake before society can get their hands on them, they call it a freaking disease. It's not a disease.
Yeah.
It's
No.
not a
No.
mental
I
illness.
agree. Yeah.
It's not.
No, I agree. And go on.
I had a school nurse call me at home telling me that my son had ADHD and she wanted to administer medication to him. I said, "You are not a pharmacist. You are not a doctor. You are not to give my child anything like that." He was going through
I
some
was asked to
emotional problems.
medicate my son. I was asked to medicate my son. I said no, no, no. I wouldn't allow. I wouldn't
Yeah.
allow the medication either. I wouldn't allow.
No-
No.
Now my son is going to school for cybersecurity and engineering. There was nothing
Ah,
wrong with
there
him
you go.
whatsoever.
Well, my son now is the most amazing MC, and well, it's not my type of music, but hey ho, he's so creative and artistic. He's so insightful and knowing the things he knows. He's into all of this. He knows it. Mum, you don't have to tell me. And I'm going, I'm your mum. It's my job to no, I know, Mum. I know. And then he comes and says, Mum, do you know about this? I go, what? He already knows. He knows. He knows. There is something I've got to ask you that well, it's not off topic. We've all heard from years about the inner earth, okay? And, but recently, the beings that come in, we haven't got time to go into the history of our DNA. Maybe on another show we could do that, Eric. But some of the beings have still stayed on Earth with us in the seas. They're not just in another dimension next door, and underground in the caverns and natural caves. How do you feel about this theory that some of them are still here?
I think conspiracy theorists, take that a little bit too far.
Yeah.
But they're here. They are here.
They
are here. These downloads of information. I've retrieved mathematics information that I couldn't possibly know.
Yeah.
Most of us all do. I sent an equation to a scientist with Asperger's. Now give me 1 second to talk about this. Someone with Asperger's that's highly sought out by the CIA to figure things out. Now look, they're called intelligence for a reason, and they go after people with autism and Asperger's to have more intelligence. Let the audience think about that for a minute. We're gonna call these children crazy when they're born, but highly useful to the Central Intelligence Agency once they prove viable enough to think as an adult. But yeah, there are definitely, especially here in America, the West Coast, northern tip of Guatemala Island. I hope people in intelligence are listening because there is activity there underwater.
They're listening, darling. They're listening.
I don't need the entire Pentagon to find that out. I'm just a guy that gets up and goes to work every morning. But the activity is not Catalina like they're all thinking. They're seeing these objects over there. Fine, I understand. You have pretty cameras and you can take pictures. Go a little bit further south and do some digging, and you're going to find a lot of activity right there.
It's a vast topic that covers, because, as I said, the two big reality shifts is like the UFOs, the other civilizations, humanity this year especially is going to become, their reality is going to be shifted. They exist. We've lied. We've lied.
And it's not,
that's one.
And for all the scientists out there in UK, it's not interstellar. These guys are not getting on a
They're dimensional. They're dimensional. They're here. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not taking 14
No,
generations to get to Earth. There are
no,
things, the
no.
electromagnetic field, when the sun bounces
Mm,
off the ionosphere, you
yeah.
have these things that open up. Einstein's Rosen Bridge, I
Yes,
believe NASA calls
yes,
them X points, and they are blue
yeah,
tunnel-looking holes that open up and
yeah,
close. It's been
yeah,
declassified and classified and back and forth, but
yeah.
these things are
We
opening
we
and
we know
closing all
now.
the time.
Yeah.
I've seen these damn objects fly right into a hole and disappear. They're
Yeah.
not they're not just flying around. They are taking the
No,
superhighway.
I mean my strongest understanding. It's like you like. There's no words. It's just emotion, I suppose. A vibrational understanding is. I remember it was around the time I was talking with you, and I was at my computer desk. I was at uni. I was studying, and I had this urge to get up and go outside, go out the back door and look. Just,
Oh yeah.
it happens. You get used to it. And I get up and I go to the back door and I open the back door and I look straight up, and I can't
You know
explain
where
it.
it's at.
It's I saw a cloud and I just went, what a beautiful, and it went vroom, and it was there inside the
Mhm.
cloud or behind it or whatever, and it was vroom, 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 and it was like vroom, and it was like, where'd you go? I can't even articulate the scientific, the physics. I can't. So don't anyone ever tell me they come from galactic 1,000 miles away, and that was my major one where I had then back in the day the understanding this is dimension, and I didn't even know what a dimension was, but I knew
Mhm.
it was a dimension, but I had no idea the context of dimension, and I knew
Right. Yeah. A
that was
lot.
my
I
one.
mean, every experiencer out there will tell you that they had a feeling and then they looked up. And
Yeah.
this
Oh,
connection, this is like a muscle. You go to the gym every day, your muscle gets bigger.
mm,
You
mm,
build this connection, you do meditation, you you work on these things, and you become
yeah,
more you instead of a tool for the machine.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
people in power don't like that at all. But this connection, a lot of people will say there was a blue light shining through their window or a blue pencil
yeah,
beam that was coming down.
yeah.
This blue stuff is
Mm,
a certain spectrum in the electromagnetic field that's
yeah,
directly related to consciousness. I watched a video the other day with these guys in the CIA. They're sitting around and they're saying, yes, I understand all this, but how is consciousness involved? I hope they're paying attention to the show tonight because this is how consciousness is involved.
well,
The
I think,
electromagnetic field in the blue spectrum has a
yeah,
very small sliver in this spectrum that is directly related to consciousness. Robert Schrodinger
absolutely.
said the number of all minds in the universe are one. Consciousness
Mhm.
is one thing. It's not a
Yes.
personal thing. Don't
No.
take consciousness personally because it's not a personal matter.
It's definitely not a
So
personal. I totally
it's
agree.
not.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not generated by the brain. It is a signal
no,
received by
no,
the universe.
no, no. No. I mean, I did say to Karen today, we are going to go down the rabbit hole today, me and Eric. My favorite topic, obviously. Karen, are there any questions you want to just, before the show closes, anything that you want to
Yeah,
ask?
yeah. How long have we got? No, no.
Exactly. I
Um,
mean,
yeah, there's a couple of questions really. That are two separate questions. My first one would be: are you still having these experiences and these encounters now? Is this something that is with you quite often, or is it sort of been a period of that to which you've then gone on your own track, or is it still happening now, the communication? Um, and also, when you were talking about, like the intuitive part, is that something now that you use a lot more? And have you found that you perhaps have got more psychic abilities or even mediumistic abilities that have come from this?
The every time I move, I think I've moved to 6 different states in the last 6 years. Every time I move, these objects show up. Usually the first night that I'm there. Um, there are times where it'll be several months and I won't see anything. And then out of the blue, the last place I lived, as soon as I moved back home, there was a preacher that lived next door to me, a guy that always sat on his back porch. I got the feeling. I opened up the door. I'm in a camper at this point, you know, and looking out, you know, just adjusting to being home again and looking for a place to live. And here's this object, 35 degrees from my, vision, you know, maybe 60 feet off the ground. Got a great picture, several pictures of it. The preacher next door was outside burning religious books the next morning. You know, it changed his worldview. This thing was not way up in the sky. This thing was over the yard, and so it does this type of thing. So everywhere I move, my neighbors tend to get a little upset because these objects come down low.
Upset, enlightened.
Yeah. It takes time.
You don't want to hang out with Eric too long. No. Go on, Eric.
And I gave up dating, but the other part of your
I gave
question
up dating
is,
too. I had to. I'm weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, empaths are like a moth to a flame when it comes to narcissistic people. So if you're an empathic person, you attract every narcissist.
Yes. I practiced that for a little while.
But the other part of your the other part of your question is to, you know, and it's funny how our thinking is trained to work. You know, if I knew this as a child, that as a person, whatever my personality or development may be, I'm a part of this world. I'm a part of this universe. I am of it. I should feel like I belong. So my thought process and my abilities should be accepted in normal everyday society. On everyday basis throughout my entire life, I was always taught to fit in or try to fit in somewhere. We have stature, we have this, we have that, we have clothing lines you're supposed to do. There's so many supposed to's that we forget who we are. The quintessential experiencer, the intuitive, the psychic, it's okay. Explore that. I am still, you know, learning different types of meditations. I'm still, when I pick up on a person or their thoughts or their feelings, I still question myself. But damn it, every single time I'm right. And that is my social engineering. That is a product of being socially engineered by owners, by masters. So you know, to learn to trust that takes time. To learn to exercise it takes time. And guess what? We live in a duality where it's not allowed. Most quintessential experiencers I know lay in bed with their wives, and their wives don't know about it. Their husbands don't know about it. They have these abilities. We cloak, we hide, we're everywhere, and we're coming. And we're doing it for the truth. We're doing it with our hearts, and we're going to do it peacefully until it's time not to. And but we do have these abilities, and once I open up to a person and spend some time with them and feel comfortable enough to show these abilities, now that I've seen it through, Stanford University, Harvard University, these brains, these antennas, what they're calling antennas, are firing, they're working, and we should trust our intuition before we ever trust our indoctrination.
I'm in total agreement.
Just say, I thought it was so interesting then how and we all have said this, when you was talking about something that happened that you couldn't really explain why it happened, you said out of the blue. And you was talking about the blue.
Yeah,
and
the blue, synchronistic
I find that really interesting that is actually, where did that saying sort of come from then? It literally came out of the blue. And I thought that just it just pinged something from me.
It's amazing when
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, sometimes, Eric, you get like, I don't know, I can't even word it. And it does come out of the blue. And sometimes someone says that and you go, and you're, it's just gone. And where did that come from? And I like the thing with the blue. I want to come back.
Blue.
It's blue. I need to. I know what you do. I know. I'm coming, Eric, and we're into overtime, but who cares? We need to go on. I do need the toilet, and I may go to the toilet, but we're not stopping this. Going back to the blue light. Okay.
Out
I
of
would
the
like
blue.
you to
Thank you.
go back into that for our audience again, because I'm aware of, not only is that blue light constantly around whatever I see it, others are starting to talk. That's Oscar. Oscar, behave. Others are talking, bringing up this blue a lot lately. Could you just cover it one more time? What actually is the spectrum and the scientific connection with the blue light for our audience and us as well, please?
Well, I don't want to scare anyone. I mean, the moment you say quantum physics or quantum entanglement, people get scared.
Mm.
They say, "Well, I'm not a physicist. I won't be able to understand that." So, but
You can say
to
quantum
break,
entanglement. I'm fine. I say it all the time.
yeah, quantum entanglement is a placeholder word, because scientists don't know exactly what to call this. But this blue electromagnetic field, there is, I'll give away a little bit of a secret. There is a very particular procession with magnetics that if you master, the electromagnetic drag is gone, and these magnets will spin away from each other faster and faster as you go.
Hmm.
This is the future of propulsion that we're going to use in space. Once
Hmm.
it hits a certain point, and I know you guys all have heard of 0 point energy,
Yes.
pulling the energy out of vacuum in space. That
Yeah.
energy is the made of the same thing as consciousness itself. We have the internet to connect us all right now, but we're also intuitively interconnected with everything else that there is. This intuitive part of our minds is something that animals use all the time just to
Hmm.
survive. I started a slideshow in at my last talk with my dog going to the bathroom, because what he's going to do, and he's going to circle 4, 5, 6 times, and he's going to find that magnetic north, and that's
Yeah.
where he's going to pop a squat right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Starlings, you can have 1,000 of them in the
Yeah.
sky, and they're so close together it looks like a black cloud, but none of them knock each
Yeah.
other out of the sky. They don't get injured or anything like that. They're
Yeah.
acting as one unit, schools of fish. We can do this all day long,
Yeah.
but we are interacting, at a distance as well.
Hmm.
In psychic studies, when we're having 7 hertz activity EEG in the brain, uh, it shows that when we have geomagnetic storms above Earth, that our intuitive ability is completely shut down. It's not working.
Hmm.
These intuitive people have the inability to access that type of thing. And
Hmm.
I know you, Gloria, is a psychic that you go,
Hmm.
why is my intuition not working too well
Yeah.
today?
Yeah.
Check
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
check
Yeah.
yeah, check out the geomagnetic storms. The average
Yeah.
brain is putting out about 7 hertz of electromagnetic field frequency. The average experiencer is putting out about 30 hertz of electromagnetic field energy. My brain at will, that I did on purpose in a recording studio, was 1,590 hertz.
Hmm.
That was jaw dropping, especially at will, that I was willingly able to do that with my brain just by thought. And,
Hmm.
there's no telling what we're capable of. But one thing we've already proven, and we can walk away from it, that we are incredibly capable of being stupid and being owned. We've tried that.
Yeah.
We've been there before. Let's try something different on board.
Um, did I miss something? I'm more likely I have. Can you connect? I think I did. I got so carried away with that. I was having images coming in my brain there. Um, and it's happening again now. On this jet propulsion, it's like I have this sort of awareness, and don't tell me how. It's like I'm going to try to explain this in an analogy. Like consciousness is ever creating, and we're co creating now. Yeah. But to me, what you've just spoke about with the future of jet propulsion, it is a way consciousness actually is all. The scientists, oh, this is so hard. The scientists today are telling us the universe is expanding, which means it is making babies. Does that make sense? So this when we as a civilization get to this area of like what you call jet, it's not jet propulsion with the gravity and magnetic field, we are creating consciousness.
Yes.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
You're not creating consciousness. You are
No,
consciousness.
I know
Think of the
that.
universe. Think of the universe as an entire ocean, and you are a wave.
Yeah.
You are what the entire ocean is doing. You are an
Yeah, I
expression of
get
that.
that.
Uh, the fact that you can observe, the
Yeah,
fact
I
that you
get
can
that.
see
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
the source of all light in the universe is in the eye, because you're this organism that can pull light out of the universe to observe color, happiness, hardness, everything. So when you look up in the sky at night, you're going to eventually come to the realization and say, I am that. And
Yes. Yeah.
once you
That
realize
that
that,
I have that realization. I'm trying to understand now is how this will be another paradigm shift. This science that you've touched upon about the two magnets, yeah, creating, yes. I know it's not, we're not creating more, we are it. I got that. Forget the I am, forget that for the minute. That is going to shift our reality again, is it not?
yes, it's a
Because
major shift.
that
And
is going to allow, will it not possibly, interdimensional, whatever
yes,
it's called. Yes, am I
well,
on the right line there?
you are, Gloria. The last time we did this, we were rubbing two sticks together, and
We were.
we were bringing into existence a living, breathing, eating organism called fire.
Yeah.
Now we're rubbing two magnets together, and it's firing consciousness itself.
It is, yes.
So
That's what I was. I do apologize, audience. This stuff, I haven't gone to a university. I just know it, and I don't know where it comes from. I'm trying to find the words to share. It's so hard
I've got to tell
to.
you that, yeah, and you know why that is? Your right brain does not know how to articulate words, numbers, letters, anything like
There
that.
you go.
So, so it's an intuitive feeling, and you have to filter that some way
Yeah,
through your left brain in order to understand it in a dialogue sense and then articulate it. So a lot of things get lost into
difficult.
interpretation.
It's very, yeah,
So,
it's very
so
difficult.
psychic people get in trouble all the time because you're shifting all that intuitive information into your
Mm,
right brain. So a lot of
yeah,
interpretation gets lost. You still have that
yeah,
feeling and you want to bang on the arm of your chair and say, I'm
yeah,
getting it out. I'm getting it out. Just give me a
yeah,
second. I'm trying to put this together. And so it's very difficult. The CIA just released some documents on hemi-seeking, where you sync the right brain and left
yeah,
brain in.
yeah.
I don't know if you read those documents. Folks at home can go ahead and get
I
on
haven't
Google and
read the
look it up.
documents. I'm aware of hemisync. Do explain, please explain.
Well, for a psychic to be able to sync the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere together, you're able to extract this information and put it together in your left brain as well as your right and articulate it 100% instead of going
Yeah,
with the gist or just the feeling. It's hard for the left brain to comprehend this information,
yeah,
especially entirely. So when this antenna receives information from out there, it's
yeah.
very hard to filter that through a very dense, thick, very conditioned left brain
It
that's
is.
taught to, yeah, that the left brain throughout our entire lives is conditioned to regurgitate other people's information. The right brain is withering away in our society, and it needs to be
Well,
exercised more.
I mean, I don't know about. I recently was told oh, I have organic brain damage on the left. That's why I'm
Well,
different.
yeah, well, thank God for small favors,
Yeah. And
to
I do understand why the analytical mind. I mean, I gave up university, I gave up criminology, I gave it all up because I'm just, oh, goodbye. But I've been told I got a left brain organic. Say whatever you want, it really doesn't matter. However, coming back, Karen, again, before we come to a close, like from half an hour ago, do you have any questions? Oh, I could just kidnap Eric, just kidnap him. Do you
There's
Sorry
a
have
about
few
the dog
people.
barking. My son just came back, so I just had to mute myself there.
any
Um,
questions, Karen, for Eric?
uh,
It's mind blowing, isn't
oh,
it?
my mind's sort of quite blown now, but at the same time, really just calm and
Yeah.
uh,
Well, on that note,
Mag-
Eric, what
absolutely
we
loved it. Loved it.
Oh, don't. He's coming back. You're back with us on hold on. On Sunday the 30th of May. And this time you're coming in and you're going to talk about the documentary. You're currently, so if you just give us a little teaser to what's coming up when you return to the show about the documentary and what goes on there.
Oh, the documentary itself, I think, most importantly, we're kind of just digging into it now, but I want to get into the quintessential experiencer. Now, ufology has noted a few experiencers here and there, but they haven't dug really, really deep. They're not able to. Being an experiencer myself, you being an experiencer, working with people like us, we can dig really deep into the quintessentiality of what we are and what we hide in society every day. We want to dig deep into that. And spoiler alert, we're going to meet with a gentleman from Area 51 who spent about 47 years at Area 51, and he's old enough and tired enough now, and he wants to come forward and get on camera. So I think it's going to be interesting what he has to say as well. We're going to show him pictures and videos of these objects, obviously not the SR-71 Blackbird or TR-3Bs, and see what he thinks about these videos and maybe some secrets that he's learned along the way. But I really want to focus on the fact that the Pentagon's coming forward now with their own agenda and their own disclosure, and the fact that it's time for our disclosure and our agenda, which doesn't profit anything but humanity, love, peace, and decency among the world. And we've got to combat this kind of idea that we're going to shoot nuclear weapons at these objects that we don't fully understand yet. I think that's sociopathic. It's insane.
I mean, yes, I think the awareness is out there. I'm already aware that it has not nuclear. I am already aware what's been going on up there. There were many others. We know what's going on already up there at this present time. We know why they've gone to the moon. We know why they're there. You just know. You're just aware that this is here. Just an awareness of it and what needs to be done, maybe to counteract.
Under an MRI, we're the most evolved. Under an MRI, we are the most evolved minds on planet Earth.
Bloody hell. Karen, excuse me, Eric. Karen, you tell your husband, Chris Shearer, I am an evolved mind. And he will say, bleep off. He'll just say, bleep off over the bridge. So when you come back in 3 weeks, Eric, obviously we talk about the documentary, how it's doing. I'd like you to go in depth of how you stayed away from like Netflix and all the others, how you got it together, and anything updates on the science around experiences would be wonderful. No pressure, Eric, on you at all. United Kingdom is waiting for Eric Mitchell in 3 weeks. Bring it on. Shift us all. We are looking forward to that. We have gone an hour and a half. We've gone into overtime. We could go on all day with you, but we know we can't because I need the toilet, and it's always about me. And I'm sure everyone else needs the loo and a cup of tea. And you've got up very early in the morning. Eric, all my love, thank you on behalf of the British people for sharing today. And we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks' time. Karen, what do you think of today's show?
Thank you so much. Thank you for getting up so early as well. But it's just been amazing. A really, really good experience for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now, what's going to happen now, Eric? The lovely Karen's going to pop you back into the naughty room, okay? And we'll catch up with you in a minute. Off you go to the naughty room, Eric. Oh, bless. Okay, guys. Wow, we went into overtime today. I'd like to thank you all. If you didn't manage to catch the whole show, because we went an hour and a half today, and why not? You can watch us on our page or YouTube. Again, just an update for next week. We have the lovely Geeta Rose, who's a vocal channeler of extraterrestrial human hybrids, and so much more. I can't even go into it because I'm still sort of coming to reality again with what Eric's just given us today. Karen Shearer, you're an amazing, lovely woman. Can you send Chris shopping, working every week now?
Yeah, I'm
And
not
let's
sending
have.
him shopping because that's spending. I'll send him working.
Oh no,
'cause
no,
that's-
send him to work every time the show goes live. Thank you for stepping in for Chris today. Thank you
No
to all our
problem.
audience. Please share our links, our page all around the world. Get the message out there, especially the message of Eric today to everybody in the UK, please. And it's been a wonderful show, and I look forward. Next week, we go live at 4 p.m. UK time. It's 4 p.m. next Sunday, the 16th of May, UK time. And bye, guys, and catch you next week. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.